The Texas night stretches along Highway 40 like an open wound across the horizon. 4 motorcycle headlights slice through the darkness, followed by the deep growl of a Peterbilt 389. At the 24-hour gas station, neon lights flicker over the wet pavement. A gray-haired man slowly steps down from the truck cab, his calloused hands gripping the keys. His eyes track 4 bikers pulling in. Their leader, a tall man in a leather vest, shouts to the others, "Hawk's going all in tonight, huh, boys?" The veteran lowers his head and walks toward the gas station's convenience store. He doesn't know it yet, but the quiet he's been chasing is about to be shattered. Some battles don't wait for the right time or place. Let's dive into this story. The rock truck stop breathes with a life of its own in the Amarillo night. Parked rigs form a temporary city of metal and diesel fumes. The convenience store glows under flickering fluorescent lights. 2 waitresses are working the graveyard shift. Sarah, a 23-year-old single mom, and Betty, a roadside veteran with 15 years behind the counter. The plywood counter bears the scratches of decades. Elbows leaned, coins dragged. Coffee machines bubble without pause. The smell of diesel hangs in the air, mixing with fried bacon and strong coffee. John Rowan, 62, pushes open the glass door. He adjusts his cap with hands marked by calluses and scars, stories he never speaks of. John carries 3 decades of life on the road. A former Marine Corps sergeant, battle-tested and seasoned. He started driving trucks after leaving the service and falling into debts he never quite climbed out of. The red Peterbilt 389 parked outside is his home, his office, his sanctuary. Sarah smiles as he walks up to the counter. John orders black coffee and a ham sandwich. His words are slow and polite. Please and thank you are part of every sentence. Betty mentions the cold snap rolling in. He nods in agreement. 30 years behind the wheel taught John that places like this are small oases of humanity in a lonely profession. Here, truckers trade stories, lend a hand, form bonds that are fleeting but real. Rock Truck Stop had always been neutral ground. Until tonight. The roar of motorcycles grows louder outside. John glances through the window and sees 4 men removing their helmets. The leader has long hair and a scruffy beard. He wears a leather vest patched with biker club insignias. Tattoos crawl up his arms, chains clink against his jeans. John has crossed paths with plenty of bikers on the road. Most were decent, honest, hard-working men. But these guys, he knows the type. Men who mistake fear for respect. John turns back to his coffee. It's still hot. Sometimes it's better not to see what's coming. The door swings open violently. 4 men walk in like a storm wind. Hawk, their leader, moves like the world owes him something. His small, dark eyes scan the room like a predator hunting for prey. Beside him are his 3 companions. Tank, short and stocky, arms covered in tattoos and a laugh that's way too loud. Razor, thin as a rail, with a scar on his chin and a twitchy gaze. And Viper, the youngest, clearly trying to impress the older ones with over-the-top bravado. Hawk claps his hands once, loud. Well, would you look at this little gem of a place? Sarah forces a smile. Betty instinctively steps back behind the counter. John keeps sipping his coffee, pretending not to notice the shift in the air. Tank strolls over to the candy shelves and grabs a chocolate bar. Viper whistles at Sarah. Hey there, sweetheart. How about serving some real men tonight? Sarah keeps the forced smile. Can I help you with something? Hawk leans on the counter, deliberately invading her personal space. Oh, you can help, darling. How about starting with your phone number? Betty steps forward. Gentlemen, if you need something, I'll be glad to assist. The old lady wants in too. Tank bursts into laughter, spraying bits of chocolate as he chews. John tightens his grip around the coffee mug. His muscles tense out of habit, but he takes a deep breath. Hawk doesn't take his eyes off Sarah. Come on, baby, ever been on a real Harley? You'd love it. Sarah steps back. No thank you, I'm working. Working? Hawk glances around dramatically. This? Serving coffee to truckers? You deserve better. Betty steps up beside Sarah. Gentlemen, I'm going to have to ask you to show our staff some respect. Tank stops chewing. Or what, Grandma? You gonna call the cops? If that's what it takes. Razor and Viper move closer to the counter, forming a loose semicircle, clearly trying to intimidate. John watches the situation unfold through the reflection in the window. His hands stay still, but his eyes start calculating. Distances, exits, objects that could be used as makeshift weapons. Hawk grins, revealing yellowed teeth. Relax, Grandma. We're just being friendly. He reaches out and touches Sarah's arm. She quickly pulls away. Don't touch me. Whoa, what's with the attitude? I was just being nice. John feels it. That shift in the air. The same one he used to feel in combat zones. That specific kind of silence that comes right before violence. Hawk decides to escalate. He struts through the truck stop like he owns the place, touching products, leaving things out of place. His crew follows, creating deliberate disorder. This place has no decent music, Tank complains, kicking a soda can across the floor. Razor searches for a heavy rock station and cranks the volume to max. The music blasts through the old speakers, forcing Betty to cover her ears. Much better! Viper shouts over the noise. Sarah tries to turn it down, but Hawk blocks her path. Leave it, sweetheart. The party's just getting started. Betty heads for the phone behind the counter. Hawk notices. Where do you think you're going? I'm calling the police. No, you're not. Hawk yanks the phone from her hand. The party's not over yet. Tank grabs a beer from the fridge. Who's up for a toast? Razor grabs one too. Viper follows. Hawk keeps the phone out of Betty's reach. John finishes his coffee. He sets the mug down slowly on the counter, leaves some cash beside it, rises from his stool and walks toward the door. Hawk finally notices him. Well, look who was hiding in the corner. He points at John. Mr. Quiet Beard. John keeps walking. No eye contact, no rush, no fear, no aggression. Hey, Hawk yells. Not even gonna say goodbye? John stops with his hand on the door handle. He doesn't turn around. How rude, Razor says. Maybe he's deaf, Viper suggests, stepping closer. He's not deaf, Hawk says, walking up behind him. He's just being disrespectful. He slaps John hard on the shoulder. I'm talking to you, old man. John slowly turns. His eyes meet Hawk's. I was just leaving. There we go, the old man speaks. Tank claps mockingly. That rusty red truck outside. Is it yours? It is. Sarah and Betty watch the scene with growing concern. Sarah picks up the phone Hawk had left on the counter, but Tank catches her and snatches it from her hand. No calls, sweetheart. Things are just getting interesting. John takes a steady breath. I really need to go. Got a delivery to make. A delivery, Tank mocks. How responsible. Hawk blocks the door. Whoa there. No need to rush. How about a beer with us? I don't drink anymore. You don't drink? Hawk pretends to be shocked. He grabs a beer from Tank and offers it to John. Come on, just one. Be polite. Thanks, but no. That polite refusal irritates Hawk more than anger ever could. He was expecting fear, maybe defiance, but John's calm throws him off. You know what I think? Hawk tosses the beer back to Tank. I think you're better than us. John shakes his head. No, I don't. I think you do. Mr. Clean Truck Driver, doesn't drink, probably goes to church every Sunday. The others laugh. The air gets heavier. John tries once more. Excuse me, I really need to go. Hawk places his hand flat against John's chest and shoves him back slightly. What kind of cargo you hauling? Industrial equipment. Industrial equipment? Hawk smirks. Sounds pricey. What kind of equipment? The implication hangs in the air. John knows exactly where this is going. Now he's surrounded by all four. Sarah and Betty shrink behind the counter. The music still blares, drowning out any chance of calling for help. Hawk presses harder against John's chest. I asked you a question, buddy. What kind of equipment? The moment is rapidly approaching the point of no return. John knows it. There are still a few seconds left to walk away. But sometimes walking away isn't an option. Sometimes the red line can't be ignored. John locks eyes with each of the four men. "Tractor parts," he replies. John takes a deep breath. "I don't want any trouble with you guys," he says, his voice even lower than before. "I just want to get back to my work." Hawk mistakes the calm for weakness. "Trouble? Who said anything about trouble?" He turns to his crew. "Are we causing any trouble, boys?" "No trouble at all." Tank laughs. Hawk looks back at John. "See? No trouble here. We just want to get to know our new trucker friend a little better. Can I go now?" Hawk blocks the path again. "Of course you can. I give you permission." John heads for the door again. As he opens it, Tank tosses an empty beer can at his back. It hits with a dull metallic smack and clatters to the floor. John stops, doesn't turn around. His hands slowly curl into fists. Hawk walks up behind him. "You know what you should do, old man. You should pick that up and throw it away. Good exercise for someone your age." John slowly turns back. "Sure," he says quietly. "No problem." He bends down, picks up the can, walks across the store and drops it in the trash, then turns back toward the door. Hawk, mistaking cooperation for total submission, decides to deliver the final blow. "Hold up, Grandpa, you forgot something." John stops again. "You didn't apologize." "Apologize for what?" "For being rude, for trying to sneak out without a proper goodbye." Tank, Razor, and Viper move in again, forming a half circle. "Yeah," Tank nods. "Real bad manners." Hawk grins. "So, what do you say? You gonna apologize?" John looks at each of the four, then glances at Sarah and Betty behind the counter. He sees the fear in their eyes, sees them trembling. He turns back to Hawk. "Sorry." The word comes out soft but clear. Hawk beams, proud of his so-called victory. "There we go, see how easy it is to be polite?" John opens the door. Cold night air rushes into the store. Outside, his Peterbilt waits quietly in the dark. "Later, Grandpa," Tank yells. "Pleasure meeting you." John walks out without looking back. The door closes behind him with a soft click. Hawk turns to his crew, arms wide. "And that, gentlemen, is how you handle a softie." The four of them cheer like they've won something, then turn their attention back to Sarah and Betty, now alone with them. Outside, John walks slowly toward his truck. His boots echo on the cold asphalt. He pauses beside the driver's side door, looks back at the truck stop through the lit windows, sees the four bikers moving toward the counter, where Sarah and Betty shrink in fear. For 30 years on the road, John avoided trouble, kept to himself, minded his own business. But some things can't be ignored. Sometimes silence becomes complicity. John walks to the side of the truck stop, gripping an M9 bayonet he always keeps tucked beneath his truck seat. There, tucked in the shadows, sit the four Harley-Davidsons, powerful machines, each one worth more than he earns in several months on the road. He moves in quietly and slashes the tires on all four bikes. As the last tire hisses flat, he pulls out his phone and types a message into the Brothers of the Road group chat, a network of truckers spread across Texas. "Rock truck stop, Amarillo. 4 bikers causing trouble, harassing the staff. Anyone nearby able to swing by?" The reply comes in under a minute. "On my way, brother." It's Big Jim, a trucker John has known for years. Seconds later, more messages pop up. 15 minutes out. On I-40 now, turning back. John slips the phone away and backs off from the bikes. His heart is pounding, but not from fear. It's the same feeling he used to get while coordinating operations in the Marine Corps. 10 minutes later, headlights slice through the night. A Kenworth T680 pulls into the lot. Big Jim parks across the station. Moments later, a Freightliner Cascadia arrives. Within minutes, 6 trucks have surrounded the station. Drivers climb out of their cabs, each one carrying thousands of miles and countless deliveries on their shoulders. Big Jim approaches John. He's a mountain of a man, 6'7" with arms like tree trunks. "What's the situation?" "4 punks inside. Those women need our help." Big Jim glances at the Harleys and grins when he sees the flat tires. "Looks like you already got things rolling." The other truckers join them, including Tommy, an Iraq veteran who now hauls construction materials. No one needs much explaining. Out here, respect is understood. The truckers spread out strategically, 3 near the front entrance, 2 more at the rear exit. Inside the store, Hawk has decided the humiliation of the quiet trucker was just the opening act. With John gone, his full attention is now on Sarah and Betty. Now that the party pooper's out of the way, we can get back to our conversation, he says, leaning on the counter. Where were we? Sarah steps back. You've had your fun. Maybe it's time to leave. Leave? Tank gasps in mock offense. But the night's still young. Razor grabs another beer from the fridge. Yeah, we're just getting started. Betty steps closer to Sarah, protectively placing an arm around the young woman. You know what I think? Hawk steps in closer. I think you two need to learn how to be a little friendlier with customers. He reaches out to touch Sarah's face. She pulls back. Don't touch me. Easy, sweetheart. I just want to get to know you better. Betty steps in between them. Leave her alone. At that moment, John and Big Jim step through the door. The contrast is immediate. The 4 bikers who just minutes ago dominated the room with loud voices and puffed-up gestures suddenly seem smaller. Hawk is still at the counter, but there's a shift in his posture. He's seen the truckers walk in. That's enough, John says, his voice steady and commanding. The room freezes. John walks calmly toward the counter. You okay, sweetheart? He asks Sarah. She nods, but her eyes say otherwise. Big Jim stands behind John, arms crossed over his chest. The bikers can feel the shift. Nervous glances pass between them. Hawk tries to keep up the act. We're customers. We can say whatever we want. Of course you can, John replies. And we can think you're just a bunch of cowardly idiots. Hawk steps toward John, but Big Jim moves too. His towering frame casts a shadow over half the store. You boys might want to head out, Big Jim suggests, voice low and calm, almost fatherly. Beautiful night for a ride. The bikers exchange looks. The math is easy, 4 against 7. But it's not just numbers, it's the difference between people who make trouble and people who end it. Hawk steps away from the counter. Yeah, it's about that time. Let's go, boys. They walk out single file. Outside, they're met with a surprise. All 4 Harleys have flat tires. What the hell is this? Hawk shouts. Tank kicks his bike in frustration. Hawk looks around. The trucks now surround the station like wagons circling a camp. There's no way out that doesn't pass at least 2 of them. You can't do this to us. Do what? John asks. We just stopped in for coffee. No one did anything to you. The tires. What tires? John shrugs. Didn't see anyone messing with any tires. Did you guys? The other truckers shake their heads. Nope, Big Jim says. Maybe you ought to check the quality of the tires you're buying. The humiliation is complete. The 4 bikers who rolled in like roaring lions now have to push their expensive heavy machines out of the lot. They start pushing their bikes down the dark road. It's a pitiful sight. 4 men who thought they were intimidating, now sweating and struggling to move limp machines. As they disappear into the night, the truckers return to their rigs. Their job here is done. Big Jim shakes John's hand. If you ever need anything, just holler. Thanks, brother. One by one, the trucks roll out. Soon, everything is back to normal. The waitresses return to work, their smiles easier, their shoulders lighter. John pays for another coffee and a sandwich to go. Before leaving, he walks over to Betty. Thanks for taking good care of the drivers who pass through here. What you do matters. She smiles. And thank you for taking care of us. Outside, John glances one last time toward the road. In the distance, he can still see 4 silhouettes pushing their bikes into the darkness. He climbs into the Peterbilt and starts the engine. As he pulls out of the lot, one thought stays with him. Sometimes life puts us in a moment where we have to choose comfortable silence or necessary action. Ahead of him, the road stretches endlessly under the stars. And beneath those same stars, there are people who stand up when it counts. Not for themselves, but for those who need protecting when justice calls. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things, day after day with no need for applause or recognition. People who guard the innocent, and because of them, the world remains a place worth living in. If you enjoyed this story, let us know what you thought in the comments. And please click the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one.